This show's all about bread. Stone Age beginnings before humans even invented farming or pottery. Hunter-gatherers in regions like modern-day Jordan ground wild grains into a coarse flour, mixed it with water, and baked the paste on hot rocks over an oven. And here's the wheat and the beginnings of bread. Originated in the Persian lands, the Fertile Crescent, you can see there, and then the whole idea of bread and baking spread in all directions from there. Give us this day our daily bread. There's so many different expressions referencing bread that we're going to get into in just a minute. Here's just a display, just of some of our bread artifacts. Pane, the Italian, look at all the Italian breads there. Of course, this is all these pastries. Don't you like this little baker guy? And then there's the Pillsbury Doughboy. And baking powder, that could be a whole subject. Look at this teapot with the bread and the butter. And of course, bagels and donuts, sandwich breads. Here's a little Smurf, a little baker. Of course, before that, you have to have a wheat farmer. Here's a wheat field outside Chartres, the famous cathedral in France, surrounded almost by famous wheat fields, and all sorts of types of bread. This is the Cuban bread vendor. Look at that. She's having her little daily bread, dining out. I don't know if the dog's going to get any of it. Postage stamps featuring wheat and bread. You can see all of these here. Such a big subject. Completely honored. This is in our books, History of Bread. This extraordinary book. Look at some of our other books here featuring bread. Bread in the making. This is a little brochure from the, I guess, the 50s or 60s, helping kids know about how bread was made. Here's another story for kids. Walter the Baker. We're going to get into a whole history of toasters. Got this toy toaster. And here's a toast rack. I guess that's from England. You know, I was always surprised because in England they have toast, but they put it on these racks. It's not that important to them, I guess, that toast is not warm when they're eating it. This is a little salt and pepper shaker. And these are Toastites. This is a type of, you could make your own bread and put some cheese in it. Everybody bakes bread. I don't think that maybe they used to, but they don't anymore. It's a wonderful book, Bread, History of It. Possibly my favorite image is this little guy. The loaf of bread is almost his size. This is a trade card from the 1890s. Yeah, on the back it was advertising this kind of flour. Northwestern Consolidated Milling Company, Minneapolis, also always known as the mill city, I think. City of mills. So here's some of the different types of breads that can be found around the world. In England, or in France, medieval France for sure, the feudal lord had the duty to provide and the privilege to own all of the bread ovens within his fiefdom. In exchange, personal ovens were generally outlawed, and commoners had to pay a fee to use the oven to bake their bread. And here's one that's been preserved as sort of a museum in Orval in the Dordogne part of France. And the guy who operated the mill and kept it going, his family lived above here, but the folks in the community would come and bake their bread there. Here's an image of a woman baking bread. Now maybe this was a different setup. This could have been in her home. Here's two women on an outdoor oven, bake oven, like we were just talking about. It is so important There's all these common expressions related to eating bread. Bread and butter, your bread and butter, the greatest thing since sliced bread. To break bread, to share a meal or spend time eating with others. Knowing which side one's bread is buttered on. To understand who to be nice or loyal to. Bread always falls butter side down. I don't know that one. Bad things tend to happen at the worst possible time, maybe. Half a loaf is better than none. That's self-explanatory. Half-baked, an idea that's kind of silly, not thought out properly. Dough, of course, is a slang word for money. And cast one's bread upon the waters. That one I don't know too well either. To do a good deed or act generously without expecting a reward. Here's some more of those. These are some are repeats, but some of them are new. Butter someone up, flatter them. Bread in circuses. Take the bread out of someone's mouth. I'm not sure if I heard that expression. Selling like hotcakes. That's a reference to, I guess, pancakes. And bread on the table refers to earning a living or making money to support oneself or family. So yeah, just the expressions say it all about how important bread is. The electric toaster evolved from open fire metal forks into automated pop-up kitchen appliances. And it was 1905 invention of a special type of wiring which allowed for these toasters to operate. Here's the General Electric Model D12 toaster from the 1910s. The automatic pop-up toaster was invented by this guy, Charles Strite of Minnesota. You can see an early version advertisement for it there. You do not have to watch it. The toast can't burn, was the ad. Pops up on its own when it's ready. Transformed into a whole company, the Toastmaster Company. Look at that. New 4-slice toaster toasts light and dark at the same time. So if you like a dark piece of toast, you could get that, and somebody else in your family might want a lighter one. So that was huge innovation. Look, no watching, no turning, no burning. Toastmaster automatic toaster from the Walters Genter Company in Minneapolis. So not only was Minneapolis famous for milling, but they're also famous for their making of toasters. Here's a whole collection of toasters. I can see from the very earliest forms of trying. You would put the bread on there and then you'd hold it over the fire. Look at all these. Deco toasters. Look at this. The toaster lady, well, she's got like 7,000 different toasters in her home. She's been all over the country collecting toasters, and she wrote this book, Toasters and Accessories. So here we've got Otto Rohwedder. He invented the slice bread machine. There is an early example of it, and the idea was you have to slice the bread and then you have to package it, or all those slices would get stale. So he invented the slicer, but also the packaging that went right into it. So you can see this person is sliding the sliced bread into a package. Here he is. German immigrant family, yeah. And then he sold it to the Chillicothe, Missouri Baking Company. We think of as Ohio, but apparently there's one in Missouri, and it's the home of sliced bread because this Chillicothe Bread Company bought the first machine and made it work. And look, they've got this big sign, the home of sliced bread. There it is, Chillicothe Baking Company. Here's some more information about that company, and then, of course, the expression, the best, greatest thing since sliced bread, which means someone or something that is excellent or very useful. We've got some of the most famous old brands. Wonder Bread, 1921. Sunbeam, little Massachusetts company. Little Miss Sunbeam was the little mascot. Bunny Bread. That was Illinois bread. And then this is Marita. I don't know that one. And then, of course, there's Wonder Bread. And then Margaret Rudkin, Fairfield, Connecticut. Pepperidge Farm founder, named the brand after her family's farm. She started baking chemical-free, natural whole wheat bread in her kitchen for her allergy-afflicted son, turning a small family recipe into a massive commercial bakery. You can see one of the most famous women in the food industry in the U.S., Margaret Rudkin. Another son of German immigrants was Charles Freihofer. In 1884, he opened a bakery in Philadelphia, determined to provide bread made from the finest ingredients. His business moved, and he and his brothers built a new commercial baking plant in outside Troy, New York, with an innovative 70-foot-long traveling bread oven. And so the bakery sold their products up into the 50s on horse-drawn wagons. You can see them there. And Meredith, you're going to tell us your story.
Well, we used to get a visit from Paul, the bakery man, and his bakery wagon with his horse. And I was, what I remember most, well, I don't even remember hardly, but I was 3, I think. Anyway, I don't know how often he came. Was it once a week? I don't know. I don't even know what my mother bought, but I loved it, and I loved the horse. And one day, he dropped off or whatever, blah, blah, and gave it to my mother. And I went trotting off, age 3, behind the wagon.
Up the street.
Just went up the street. And my mother... Oh, my God. Anyway.
Was your mother paying attention or what?
Well, she must have been putting the bread away. I don't know what she was doing.
Yeah,
And our neighbor up the street saw me trotting along happily and grabbed me. I got a couple of blocks, though, I think. Or at least a block.
Wow.
And, of course, carried me back to my mother. And my mother was...
What a great
amused
story.
but relieved.
Yeah.
My mother was always amused, but
it's a great story.
So it was really fun. I used to sit up there in that wagon.
Oh, they put you up in the way. And then they had this Freddie, this show, children's show up in basically I guess in Schenectady, and the kids all got
What show?
It was the Freddie Freihofer show. I don't know if you remember if you were one of those kids, but apparently kids who had the birthday would be on the show. I don't know that much about it. You can all look it up. Well, we go from that to the subject of bread riots. The French violent public uprising sparked by extreme grain shortages, soaring food costs, and starvation during which sparked the French Revolution. Many people look at them; they're trying to load the flour into this warehouse, and these people are breaking in and grabbing the flour and trying to make off with it. Housewives and women did a march to Versailles, protesting that there was not enough flour. Some people say that this sparked the French Revolution. Crop failures, dietary dependence. Peasants relied on bread for 60 to 80% of their daily food budget. So then out of that came the myth that the Queen Marie Antoinette supposedly said on hearing that the peasants, ordinary people, had no bread. She said, let them eat cake. This apparently did not happen. She was just a child at the time, living in Austria. This quote was put in by Jean-Jacques Rousseau in one of his books. And but it does reference now the fact that a person is totally out of touch with the hard lives and needs of poor people. Lack of care of understanding when someone is wealthy gives a foolish, unhelpful solution to a basic problem. Bread and flour riots have occurred throughout history. Here's an example in Ireland, attempting to break into a bakery. This one, I didn't know about this one. Bread riots in Richmond, Virginia. Going to have to research that. And then in Egypt, this caused all sorts of the damage, and there's a very violent protest of high prices and lack of government support for flour and bread for ordinary people. Happier note, bread pudding. I didn't realize how many different types of bread pudding there are in the world. Bread pudding is, of course, using stale bread and mixing it with milk and cream and butter Maybe also served with caramel bourbon or vanilla sauces. Zero waste to rescue day-old loaves. And then here's this group in India. Guinness Book of Records for the largest bread pudding achieved. Look at this. I don't know who got to eat it all, but bread pudding is a whole huge subject. Wikipedia has a list of bread puddings and the differences around the world, and here's the Wikipedia connection website that you can see all this. During World War I, bread became a vital weapon in the home front because symbolizing both sacrifice and survival. Wheat shortages, especially for the British, who were importing most of their flour, so that people were encouraged through these various campaigns, including the U.S., to allow the wheat and for the bread to go to the soldiers in the front, and you were giving them advice to eat less bread. And in some cases, it was eat more potatoes and also potato bread. So important, lots of organizations, especially in Europe, have created museums dedicated to the history of baking and bread. Here's just a sample of them. Then there's the Bread for Social Change Museum in Bulgaria, which we're just learning about, and you can see the link here. An extraordinary museum in Austria that is has this spiral. You start at the top, I guess, and you go all the way down through the history of bread making. What an experience! What an incredible architectural achievement! Here's one of the galleries. 1,200 exhibits. Just said there's lots of museums about bread in Europe, for instance, but none in the U.S. And so this group is organizing the National Bread Museum. It's online at the moment. Here's some of their ideas and programs. As an alternative museum, they hope to have eventually a bricks and mortar experience. It's sort of like what we're doing currently with the Potato Museum. This is from their website explaining Europe's bread museums were the idea for the U.S. Bread Museum came about, and while they're still looking for funding and a place, they're just doing it all online. How about this? This is our original package for potato bread, which is a thing, from the Banner Baking Company, Fort Madison, Iowa. And we could do a whole show about potato breads. And this is Wikipedia's list of bread dishes. Just look at all this. See if I can scroll down through here. There we go. Look at all these. You had any idea that there were this many? Look at that. Okay. We're going to do a separate show opening up some of these leaflets and books. It's for you to enjoy and encourage you. Look at that, all about bread. Bread, people have fought wars for it, rioted for it, celebrated it, and enjoyed it. Blessings of Bread tells of its origins and folklore, its myths and politics, its bakers and recipes. This is the fully illustrated story of the Staff of Life. What a title, huh? Here's Elizabeth David's English Bread and Yeast Cookery. This was an extraordinary encyclopedia of bread baking. Here's Laurel's Kitchen, Bread Book, a guide to whole grain bread making. Bread of Dreams. There they are. I think that's a Bruegel. Look at them. Dreaming of breads. We're going to get into that. Cookies and Breads, Bread for the World. Breaking Bread, the Spiritual Significance of Food. Here's a folk tale, Sleeping Bread. Bread, the Staffs of Life. This is a wonderful book. This is, let's see if I can get it open here. Yeah, The Bakers. Just a lovely book, beautifully illustrated. And Baking Across America. There you go. All About Bread, Jeffrey Peter Patterson's book. lots of history associated with all that. The windmills. Everybody bakes bread. I'm not sure if everybody breaks bread, but in this book they do. Here's bread and bread. Let's have a quick look at this one. Oh. Sorry about that. We're still recording? Yeah. Big subject. Thanks for joining us. I'm losing it here. If you like these shows, you can always subscribe on YouTube. They're free. You can tell your friends. You can leave us messages. You can help us find a home for all of our food collections. And we hope you enjoy your daily bread. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.